to talk about games played by Ryan and Mike. A modern, a retro video game show. Yes, we talk about games and sometimes other stuff like Star Trek. It's a blast, our gaming podcast.
Hello and welcome to Talk About Games, the show where Mike and I each pick a game book club style and talk about it.
I'm Mike Matei. As you should know by now, I stream on Twitch. You'll find me there. I know a lot of you people already, are from there. But if you happen to be finding us from this podcast on YouTube, I stream on Twitch. It's Mike Matei Live over there, and I play retro video games and modern video games, as the theme song says. Today, we're going to be talking about Yars Revenge.
Yeah.
What are you picking?
I'm playing Metroid Dread.
Oh, that's the same. They're both in space.
They're very similar.
They're both in
space games.
But before we get into that, I really quickly want to talk a little bit about the arcade archives on Switch.
Okay.
So the arcade archives on Switch is a collection from, I think, a company called Hamster, who they're porting old arcade games of all different varieties to the Switch. And when I first found out about that, I was like, oh, cool, you can play these old arcade games that I love. Those are some of my favorite games, and you can get them on the Switch. And then I started looking, and you type in a game, and some of the games that you might want to play are there, and some of them aren't there. They're like gradually releasing them, and they have been for like several years now. There's, I think, a couple hundred now, which is a lot, and I believe that their plan is to release 800 of them.
That's a lot.
800. It is a lot. And I guess each one they have to make it work for the Switch. It's not just they throw it on there. They have to do whatever they have to do to get it to work. But I noticed that each arcade game is about $7.99 for one.
Right.
So, let's say you want to buy Kangaroo for Atari on your Switch. And you want to play it. That's $8.
That seems like a lot.
And then now you want to play Gradius. That's $8.
Right.
Now you're already at $16 for two arcade games. It would get expensive very, very quickly.
So it's not like they actually get the licensing for this, but I think back to, I have one of those Pandora's box like 1001 arcade game things, and I put it in an arcade 1-up. And then they even sell, like, you can go on Amazon right now and get the Pandora's box, like the sticks.
Yeah.
And it has HDMI out, and you could just play everything. It's kind of like that, but there's no way they could charge. I guess they got to get the licensing to everything.
I don't know exactly how it works, but I know that there's a lot of arcade games that they don't have on there yet that I hope is eventually like coming to it. For example, I like the arcade game Mr. Do a lot. Okay. And that's not on there yet. So hopefully, let's say they release the 800 games, who knows? But I bet they're not going to get games like X-Men and The Simpsons, because they're not going to pay for that kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, that was one of the things that kind of plagued those licensed games, because if you remember, like the Turtles game was on the Xbox 360.
It was. I had it, yeah.
And then it got taken down.
Xbox Live Arcade.
Yeah.
So if you had it downloaded, and I think it's still on my 360, I think I can still play it like that.
Right.
But if you didn't download it at the time, you're not going to have it. Anyway, though. So then I started playing the games. Like, I bought like Donkey Kong 3 and whatever, these different old arcade games, and I started playing them, and I realized if I was in the actual arcade, and I'm popping the quarters in, do you know how quickly you'll spend $7 in an arcade?
Like less than an hour if you're not used to the game.
Now, I own that game forever at home, and I can play it whenever I want. So I was like, is the $7 really that bad? If you're actually going to play the games a bunch, I think it's totally fair. But then other people will say, yeah, well, just fuck. First of all, so on the Switch, it's emulation.
Yeah.
You're emulating it.
Mm-hmm. Is it any good, the emulation?
It is on some games, and other games it's not.
Oh, wow.
It's uneven. So I played Double Dragon, and the emulation I thought was shit.
Right.
And then I played a bunch of other games, and I thought the emulation was totally fine. So it depends per thing, I guess. But and then a lot of people are like, well, just fucking play it on MAME for free on your PC, right?
Right.
So, but sometimes, I like to be able to support the actual companies.
Sure.
So I will buy the games when they're made available to me. you know?
I just want to take the time to say that I think Nintendo Switch Online is a really good
Service.
value because you're getting like 300 Super Nintendo and NES games, and it's there's a lot of the good ones, but then there's some weird ones. But the fact that you're getting like 300 games for it is a pretty good value. It's probably not as good a value as Xbox Live is.
I heard they're raising the price of it.
Oh yeah,
so it might not be that good a value anymore because they're gonna have to start doing the N64 stuff soon.
So they need to they can justify raising the price.
I guess so, but so which I think is bullshit. Like, and also now I'm wondering, now they're gonna focus on like releasing N64 stuff and like totally forget about like putting stuff on Super Nintendo and NES. You know,
right.
That'll probably come out slower when it needs to come out faster.
What's weird is like GameCube emulation and Wii emulation is like pretty decent now with Dolphin and things like that. I'm surprised that they're not
doing GameCube
because there's probably a lot of games that people would want to play.
Yeah, like I have I have a modded GameCube and I have like Swiss and stuff, and I totally feel like if they drop that on Switch, that people will be like way more excited. I mean, I'm sure people are excited about N64. That's cool. But like, I feel like this era is very like GameCube's the hot thing. Like, right
definitely.
now, right at this moment in time, you know?
Yeah.
N64, I would say, is like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Anyway, there's other collections on the Switch that have arcade games. Like there's one called like the Psycho Collection, which has like Zero Gunner 3 and some of more like the 90s, you know, or early 2000s games and whatnot. And it's nice when you get packages of games as opposed to how they do it with the arcade archives, which is literally just like buy each game individually. That is kind of annoying. I saw a lot of people complaining about it and they were saying like, it's gonna clog up the Nintendo eShop if you have all these games, or if you're gonna have to know that the game exists to be able to find it. And my take on that is like, who cares?
Also, I have news for you.
Yeah,
like dozens of games come out every day. It's not like it's gonna be unclogged anytime soon.
And then like. So, you know, if you like, you know, old arcade games, wouldn't you want all, like, even if the games are shitty arcade games, don't you want to just have all the games? Like, why would you not want as many games as you can possibly get your hands on? You know, whether they're shit or good. Obviously, you would rather get the good ones ported first, but...
Yeah,
and like, who cares?
So much that goes into that, from like what do they have the rights to, what is technically feasible, what has licenses, there's just so many things, and it's like if you want to play an arcade game, like you don't need to wait for them to do this. This is for a very particular audience. Right.
So, taking it another step now. So it is emulation.
Yeah.
And with emulation, there can be lag. Now, I play emulated games pretty often. Just the other day, I was streaming some arcade games in MAME as emulating stuff. I don't have a problem with emulation. But there are sometimes better ways to go about it, like with the FPGA stuff.
Sure.
And like I find like playing like NES games on an EverDrive don't have like the lag. Like if you're playing a game on like an NES game on the fucking Retron 5, it's like super laggy.
Yeah, there's a lot of problems. Or if you have a really crappy converter,
or that
to get it to HDMI.
Right. So I'm right now looking into the Mister.
Yeah.
Which I believe I'm not a tech guy, but I think that's FPGA.
It is,
and that I think works more like the EverDrives. And I haven't gotten one yet, but I might get one soon. And the reason I didn't get one like right off the bat was because they have to take all these arcade games, and I think it does other games too, but I'm mainly buying it for the arcade games. I think they have to take all the arcade games and backwards engineer them to get it to work on the Mister.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are some arcade games that are unique architectures, right? But then there's some that don't. Like I'm willing to bet that once they figure out how CPS2 works,
I don't even know what that is.
So that's like the Capcom one. That's like Puzzle Fighter and Street Fighter 2 and Street Fighter Alpha and Shadows over Mystara.
Oh, okay. I love that.
Here are two CPS2 A boards and one B board. So this one here, This is X-Men vs. Street Fighter. And you can see it's like a cartridge. Mm-hmm. It's like a really big cartridge.
Yeah.
This one is blue because it's a US
People talk about those Neo Geo cartridges
one,
being
right? Like, look at this. This is
that.
a cartridge,
Yeah.
right? It's pretty big. So this is Shadow over Mystara. Hold on. There'd be a metal clip here, but the metal clips kind of fall all over the place, so I don't have them. But this is Shadow over Mystara.
Yeah.
And
So that's the game.
this is the game. And then is this going to separate or am I going to... I don't want to mess with it. Anyway, see the... Yeah, there you go. So it says Japan on it. This is like the system. Okay? This is the system. And this one has... you can look on the bottom. It has...
That's where you insert it.
You know how when you look at arcades, it says like in Q sound or in stereo or whatever? That's because this is the JAMA connector. And the JAMA connector that's back here doesn't have stereo sound. Right? So they have like the audio outs here.
Which, okay.
In addition to that, see this here?
Yeah.
A standard JAMA harness isn't a 6-button controller. Right?
Okay.
I mean, there are like proprietary ones, like the Chinese ones, like the Pandora's Box and stuff, have all 6 buttons on here.
Okay.
But this is a kick harness, so that the extra kick buttons, the fierce and the roundhouse and stuff, are in here for both 1-player and 2-player.
Okay.
Now this same kick harness,
Well, not for Shadows or Mystara, but whatever that game has, yeah.
Yeah, so, Shadows over Mystara actually has a link cable.
Okay.
Where you can have multiple of these, and it has its own, because you could have, like, more players.
Right.
Now, games like X-Men...
So just so you guys know, I mean, maybe we can get a shot of it. So Ryan has, like, a ton of candy cabs.
Yeah.
So these go into the candy cabs.
Yes.
Now, did these only go in, because I know you have a whole bunch of them, did they only go into specific ones?
No. So what you would do is on the side of your candy cab, this is a CPS2 Japanese thing. It would mount on a board on the side of it. Mm-hmm. And then the JAMA harness would plug into here. The kick harness would plug into here. And then the audio cables would plug into here. Then if you wanted to switch the game, you would go and just pull this one off.
Okay.
And then put a new one.
And you have
on.
the back of it just open to be able to do that? Or do you gotta,
No,
like,
it's
on
in the little door.
Oh, it's in the door. Okay.
Underneath, yeah. Now, you could go and get Pac-Man, okay? And Pac-Man has like a regular... Actually, it doesn't, but you could go and get some... I think Pac-Man might have a proprietary harness. But there's a lot of games that have a JAMA, like this thing here. You could go and get another arcade game, like anything.
Right.
And hook it up to this, and then the candy cab would play that.
Right.
So this is like the Capcom CPS2 system.
Yeah.
Later on, Sega had one called Naomi, which is like a Dreamcast. And you see those a lot.
We're getting way off topic here, though, because we got to actually move into the video games we're talking about today, which I'm going to talk about Yars Revenge.
Okay.
So, okay. I grew up as a little kid, 3-4 years old, had the Atari 2600, and, you know... I start thinking about things like, you know, is the Atari 2600 even still fucking relevant today? And probably most instances it's probably not really anymore. Right. But I think there's still things to be said for the Atari 2600. A lot of the games on it are trash. Just like the NES, a lot of the games are trash. But there are some standout games on it that are still worth playing.
Yes.
Kaboom is one of them.
Okay.
Because I feel like the video game industry... This is an idea for the video game industry. I'm just going to throw this out there. Make games where you can play with a paddle controller and make games where you can play with a trackball controller. Like, you know how Nintendo likes to sell us shit, like amiibos and all this stuff and different controllers? Where's the Nintendo trackball controller? And where's the Nintendo set of paddles? wouldn't it be cool if there was a Nintendo game for the Switch that was Nintendo? Like it fucking says Nintendo. I don't mean some third part. I want Nintendo to do it. And you get a Nintendo paddle, and there's some kind of maybe Mario game or whatever with a paddle. That would be really cool. Same thing for a trackball. I would like to see those go away because everything now is just D-pad.
Yeah, the last like trackball game of note is Golden Tee.
Right.
And if you don't like golf, what do you care?
Yeah, I mean, back in the era of like, the arcade, you had Marble Madness and you had, Centipede and you had a bunch of these trackball games. And it just seemed to me that was, there might have been less trackball games than the other stuff, but it just seemed to be part of gaming. And then that just went away.
Well, I'll tell you, if you think of a paddle game, there's the Panic Playfair, the yellow thing with the crank.
Oh, that. Yeah.
We could make a paddle game.
Yeah.
With the crank.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Right.
That would be kind of cool.
Anyway, though, so Yars Revenge, though, was one of the games for Atari that was a really good game. I believe it was the best-selling game. Now, the game was made by Howard Scott Warshaw, and what's interesting is everybody knows him for making E.T., and E.T.'s bad and bankrupted the company and all that stuff. Everybody's heard about that, but let's flip that around and talk about how with Yars Revenge was the highest selling game on the 2600.
Really, not like...
From what I know.
Okay.
Because E.T. didn't really sell. That was the problem.
Yeah.
It wasn't selling because I guess it got the bad reputation and then they made too many of them and all that. But Yars Revenge was one of, if not the best selling game on the system. And but it was what I didn't know until recently, and I should have known this, is that it was based on an older game.
Really?
So what they wanted to do was there was a game called Star Castle. And back in the late 70s, early 80s, a lot of those games were vector-based, like the Vectrex and all that, and Asteroids, all those games. And there was a game called Star Castle. Now, Star Castle, what it was, is in the middle of the screen, there was a little alien. Like a bad guy, and around him was shields around his ship, like Star Trek, right? And then your little ship flies around the screen, and you're sort of always moving in a circular motion,
like an orbit.
In an orbit, exactly. Thank you. And you're trying to destroy the shield to shoot the alien in the middle. And there was a like overlay on the screen, because it was vector based, and the same thing for the Vectrex. So they wanted to bring that to the 2600. And they looked at it and they couldn't quite figure it out. So they were like, instead of just making Star Castle, let's make something similar that we're able to do on a 2600, because it was hard to program on the 2600.
Yeah. So do you want to know? So I played Yars Revenge. I had never played it in my life.
Yeah.
And I played Yars Revenge so I could talk to you today.
Yeah.
And I didn't read anything. I didn't look at anything. But I think I have an idea of what's happening.
Okay.
Would you like me to tell you?
Sure. Let's hear what Ryan thinks Yars Revenge is, and see. I want to see if you know about the game. I'm curious. Yeah.
So you are the bug ship.
Yeah, you're the fly.
The fly.
Yeah.
And the bad guy is the thing with all the orange stuff around it.
Yes.
And the middle is probably supposed to be like a force field or something, but it only does one thing.
Uh-huh.
The middle is what defines whether the beam is going to come from the left or if you could shoot.
No.
No?
No.
Okay. So
unless I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, but I think no.
So you stay on the left side of the force field.
Yeah. You want to draw this out here?
Well, okay, I can.
Brought this out.
Yeah. So here's how I do it. Here's we're gonna call this Yar. So Yar is here, which it may not be, but he's got his shield.
Okay.
And then you got the force fieldy area.
Okay.
Like that.
Uh-huh.
And now you're here. I'm not drawing that. That's fine.
Okay. You're here meaning
you start here.
Okay.
And you shoot and destroy some of his force field.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't shoot, you can like bump up against it.
True.
And then he has like a little like minus sign friend who is chasing you.
I love this explanation.
Right? So your goal is you go shoot, shoot, shoot.
Yeah.
You make a hole.
Uh-huh.
And then you'll notice if you're on this side of the field,
Yeah.
every so often this like beam appears over here.
Oh. Okay.
Okay?
I see what you're saying.
And then you need to like be in front of where he is so that when it shoots out, it hits him in the middle. Mm-hmm. Now, but this can hit you too.
Yeah.
So you need to not be in the way of it.
Okay. I mean, you're mostly getting it. So I
Okay.
gotta correct you on a couple things.
Okay.
Let me see this.
Yeah.
So over here on the left, the
Yeah.
fly
Yeah.
that's Yar.
Okay.
Now you have this as Yar over here. This is not Yar.
Okay.
So over here, the enemy that looks sort of like that or something. That's the Cotile.
Okay.
And that's the name of this alien enemy. This surrounding field, this orange sort of field around him, that's his protective barrier.
Okay.
Okay, that you have to either shoot through or eat through.
Yes.
So because he's a fly and he can like eat, he can eat away
yes.
at this. This thing this dash that goes around, that's a missile that he's shooting out to come after you.
Okay.
And as you go screen by screen by screen, that missile
It gets
faster
faster
and faster and
Yeah.
faster. So what you're talking about over here, that is the Zorlon cannon.
Okay.
The Zorlon cannon. And
It's awesome that they all have names.
and what
love
happens
it.
is Yar wants to kill this guy.
Yeah.
You're the good guy, he's the bad guy.
Okay.
And you want, like you said, you have to shoot him, and the only way to kill him is with the Zorlon cannon. But what you I think are a little confused on how that appears. So to get the Zorlon cannon to come out, you have to either eat away at the shield, or you have to touch the Cotile. Now, it's dangerous to touch the Cotile because at any time, the Cotile can turn into a like a spiral that'll shoot out at you, and that can kill you on any part of the screen. And why I say that is, so you showed this area. Mm-hmm. This is a sort of safe zone, and as I was streaming, I was calling it the neutral zone.
Yeah,
and then
that's kind of cool.
And then I looked it up online, and it is called the neutral zone.
Wow.
It's actually called that. So they probably were fans of Star Trek.
Yeah.
And so that's the neutral zone. Now, in Star Trek, we talk about games in Star Trek. You have Federation space.
Yes.
And you have Romulan space.
Right.
And then there's the neutral zone. Now, the way, I could be wrong on this, and here's where you can correct me probably.
Yeah.
So the neutral zone, I believe, is an area, because if the Enterprise crosses through the neutral zone, it will be war. Or if the Romulan ship crosses to the other side of the neutral zone, it will be war. But the neutral zone, from what I understand, was an area where the ships can come together to like talk or have agreements.
But you're not supposed to go into the neutral
But you
zone.
can't pass it.
No.
Is that wrong?
No, that is wrong.
Okay.
So the neutral zone is a part of space that nobody
You're not allowed to go into it.
is allowed to go into it.
Okay.
Because if they have all their monitoring equipment on either side of it.
Okay.
So if anybody crosses over there, unless they're meeting
Okay.
or whatever. But generally, like, you know, it's not like the Enterprise goes into Romulan space. No,
Right.
it goes into the neutral zone because there's something there, which is
Right.
bad.
Right.
But the idea is nobody's supposed to be in there. It's kind of like between North Korea and South Korea.
So in the episodes,
there's like a neutral zone.
when the ships are like close and
Yeah.
they're talking, is that just because they hailed each other beforehand, then they came together because they like allowed it because they're having a conversation?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the idea is let's say that you're the captain of the Enterprise.
Yeah.
And you go into the neutral zone. Well, because the Romulans have all their monitoring equipment on it, they're going to send somebody to go check it out.
Yeah.
Because you're not supposed to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, that's the neutral zone. But what the neutral zone in Yars Revenge does is it's a safety zone.
Can
where,
the missile hit you in there?
No.
Really?
So you are safe from the missile in the neutral zone. Unless if you hang out like on the edges, you might get hurt. But
Okay.
if your whole body, your whole sprite is inside this neutral zone, you're safe. But when the Cotile turns into the spiral,
Yeah.
I like to call it the glaive from Krull, the movie Krull, because
Yeah.
it looks like that. It's like a star type of thing. That can kill you in the neutral zone.
Okay.
Okay. So anyway, so you eat away at all this stuff, and if you shoot this stuff, which is easier, you get points. But if you go up and you're eating it, you get more points.
Yeah.
Because the whole idea of the game is to get as many points as possible.
Yeah.
It's a high score game. So the Kotile, you can get that. You can also get your Zorlon cannon from the Kotile by touching it, but he can immediately start turning into thing, and then you'll die so you don't really want to be touching him. You really kind of want to get your Zorlon cannon from eating away at the shield. So there's that. So the next thing that happens is, so whatever, you shoot the cannon across the thing, you kill the guy, the screen blows up, and then you go to the next stage and you do
it's faster.
And you do it again and it gets faster, and then it changes, but it's all generally the same until you get to 150,000 points.
Oh shit.
When you get to 150,000 points, this all goes gray, and the instant that it all goes gray, you know that's when the shit hits the fan and the game becomes real, because when this guy turns into that spiral and goes out to shoot you, now it's a heat seeker instead. So it doesn't just go across the screen. It will fucking go and find wherever you are and start turning and shit to try to kill you. And that's when the game gets really hard. And when I used to play the game, I never used to get past that part because I didn't know what to do.
Right.
In Yars Revenge, what you can do, so if you're the fly and you're up here, this is the top of the screen, you can go up and you'll end up on the bottom.
Yes.
Or if you're on the bottom, you can go down and you'll end up top.
Yes.
So if the fucking thing comes out and it shoots and you're right here and then it's coming up towards you, you fly up and then you end up on the bottom.
And you got to keep it bouncing around.
You got to bounce between the top of the screen and the bottom of the screen to avoid the heat-seeking spiral thing. That's how you do that. But so I started to get good at that, and now I'm going to get into the sort of advanced strategy stuff, which is where I think this game actually gets interesting and why it's kind of still worth playing to this day. So they start you off with 4 lives, and you can get more lives. And the way you get more lives is when this motherfucker, this Kotile, he turns into that spiral and he shoots off across the screen. If you shoot your Zorlon cannon when that spiral is in the air, if the spiral's like here and it's just like waiting and it hasn't shot off yet and you shoot it, nothing's going to happen. But let's say that the spiral shoots off and it's like here, and you shoot your Zorlon cannon. If you hit it, which is very hard to do, you get an extra life.
Oh.
So early in the game, on the first 20 minutes you're playing the game, getting extra lives it's tough to do, but it's not like impossible. You can shoot the Zorlon cannon and you can start collecting extra lives, which is great. But now, when you, like I said, at 150,000 points, everything goes gray and it starts doing the heat-seeking shit. Now it makes it very hard to hit the spiral with the Zorlon cannon, because now the thing is turning and shit.
Right.
So hitting it is like almost impossible. So I was trying to figure out how the fuck you get extra guys at that point. And somebody was telling me that if you have this fucking thing like shoot up like towards the top, like have Yar kind of like hang out up top, and then when the spiral comes out towards you, shoot the Zorlon cannon. But then you gotta also worry about this fucking thing going around, and also, Yar not fucking dying from this thing. So that's when you flip to the other side to the screen again. But it's just a more complicated way of doing it.
Yeah. I can tell you that I didn't not enjoy it.
Yeah. If you were to play it further, I would love to see if you could figure out, once you get to like the gray area, if you could get an extra life when this shit turns gray and it starts doing the heat seeking, you'd be better at Yars Revenge than me. I bet you could do it. I think you'd be able to figure it out.
That's an interesting challenge.
Yeah.
I'm excited to try that. I think a lot of these games, it would be cool if there were little quality of life improvements. Mm-hmm. Like when Yar goes into the neutral zone, like if he like changed color, or if the missile like actually looked like a missile.
People have made hacks And I saw one online that I didn't get to play yet, but like a fan-made hack that did the kind of stuff that you're talking about. But there was a bunch of other hacks that I played. Like somebody made like Yar versus Yar. So this on this side looks like Yar, and that on that side looks like Yar. And I'm like, great. That's like these NES hacks that you see, and it's like, it's like a Mega Man hack, but instead of Mega Man, it's Mario.
Yeah, it's kind of basic.
So you go through Mega Man 2, but you're Mario. There's a lot of that with those NES hacks, and a lot of the hacks there's sprite swaps.
What do you think on the Switch online service about them having like, oh, it's Metroid, but you have all the weapons and you have full energy tanks, or oh, it's this game, but you have like an advantage. Like they're having different versions of the game where you get like a leg
Is
up.
that when it's like the special?
Yeah.
You want me to talk about that?
Oh, you don't like that?
What do you think?
I think you think that you should play the freaking game and get the stuff yourself.
Because otherwise, why are you playing it?
Right. It's like you got to make this game easier. That's not what it was.
It's just
Yeah.
Here's a button.
Right.
Hit the button, and then you won the game.
Right, because
That just tells me that you don't like the game. You don't want to play video games because you just want it to be beaten for you.
Right.
That means you don't like video games.
Yeah, because it's like if you play Metroid, and we're gonna get to Metroid Dread in a minute, but if you play Metroid, you type in the Justin Bailey code, you unlock all the shit, you look at an FAQ, you go to Kraid, you kill Kraid, you go to Ridley, you kill Ridley, and then you go kill Mother Brain. That's not the game. Mm-hmm. The game is finding like think about it. When I played Metroid as a kid, I sat there and drew maps. Mm-hmm. Oh, what's here? What's there? Like that was part of it. Same thing, Castlevania 2. Castlevania 2 is a much bigger game if you have no clue what the fuck you're doing.
Listen, people can play video games however they want to play them.
Sure.
If you want to play Metroid and you want to have the whole game unlocked to where you can just walk through it or whatever, if that's what you want to do, go ahead and do it. I just think that in my opinion, I think you're sort of kind of robbing yourself of the experience of the game, and
right.
Like my problem with it is like I want people to have a good time with the games the way they were, like the designers intended them to be played. And it's like if you're playing Mario Brothers and then you just walk right to the end and you didn't jump over any Goombas, you didn't get a mushroom, you just walk to the end, it's like, okay, you can play it that way, but I would suggest that you don't.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, well, I mean, that was kind of the argument I was making, and I liked what you said in a prior episode where you said, I wish that I could unsee Star Wars so I could experience it for the first time.
And I still feel that way.
Right. I think that I got so much entertainment out of Metroid and Castlevania 2 and games like that. There's a healthy medium between a game like that where you have this sense of discovery and a game like Immortal or something where it's just kind of like impenetrable.
Oh, well, that's not a good game.
You know?
Yeah.
Like this. For a game that's like practically black and white, a game that is like the most basic hardware possible.
Oh, I gotta tell you something funny. So I just got like new speakers.
Yeah.
And I put them on my wall, and so it's like this where I do my streams where I talk into a microphone, the microphone's in front of me. So it's like a directional microphone.
Yes.
So I used to have my speakers like next to or behind it, and I was always like, they should be over here with the sound pointing towards the microphone, because that's the way I like to record. I want it to be room sound.
Yeah.
I know most streamers wear headphones and they capture the sound directly.
Right.
I like it to feel like you're in the room with me, which works for most games. But it's really fucking funny when it's Yars Revenge because Yars Revenge just the whole game just goes because I think it's supposed to be the buzzing of the fly.
Yeah.
But like I'm like talking about like my setup. I'm like, oh, I got this expensive microphone. I got these expensive speakers. Check this out, guys. It's like I do all this work and I'm playing that.
That's funny. No, it's cool.
It's so let's hear about Metroid Dread.
Let's talk about Metroid Dread. So My Metroid Dread experience was I saw the trailer and I was like, man, this looks like crap. Because I think it had the worst, most least representative trailer of what the game actually is. The trailer was not good. Mm-hmm. The graphics did not look good. The gameplay did not look good. I was not impressed with the trailer, not even one bit. But Metroid is one of my favorite games, so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try it out for myself, and I'm glad I did because the game is very good. This game does not follow the family-friendly, easy, low barrier to entry Nintendo gameplay model. This game is hard as shit.
Oh, good.
Right?
Right.
And it's hard as shit because of the Emmys. And the Emmys are so the Galactic Federation sent Terminators, for lack of a better term, to this planet because they thought that the enemies from Metroid Fusion were born again. Okay. Basically. Because this is a sequel to Metroid Fusion. Okay. They sent the Emmys to the planet.
Now you're just so I understand. Sometimes you're saying enemies, and other
Emmys.
Emmys, like the Emmy Awards.
EMMI.
EMMI. Okay.
Yes.
And now, what are the Emmys?
Think of them as like Terminators.
Oh, Terminators.
They're robotic soldiers
that are coming after.
They're kind of spider-like, but they sent them to the planet to fight this thing. Okay. And none of them come back. Mm-hmm. So they go to Samus and they say, "Yo, Samus, can you go to the planet and deal with this because the Emmys didn't survive?" Uh-huh. And as a holder of the Metroid DNA, you're the only person who can do this. Yeah. So Samus goes to the planet, immediately just gets knocked out by a Chozo bounty hunter type guy. Right. And you end up all the way at the bottom of the planet. Right. With this new suit. Mm-hmm. And your abilities are different and you're messed up. Mm-hmm. And immediately one of the Emmys comes to kill you. Because they're like zombie now. You know, he's like gonna get you. So you interface with your ship, who's this entity called Adam, who's like, Samus, you gotta get out of here. These things are gonna kill you.
Like Jarvis.
Yeah. You gotta escape. Mm-hmm. So the whole thing is you start at the bottom and they're like, your ship's up here. You gotta escape and you gotta go through it. And one of the cool, like, you know how many Metroidvanias there are?
A lot.
There's a ton.
Yeah.
Right? And you think to yourself, how can Nintendo do better?
That is what I was thinking about. Because it's like they're Nintendo. Yeah.
How can they do better?
Yeah.
And the answer is they can make Metroid Dread. Because the idea that the Emmys are hunting you, and there are hunting zones in every level. Yeah. Where the Emmy is hunting you. So levels, you have to proceed through the level, and then you end up in these hunting zones where you have to run for your life.
Does the whole game give it just like a big sense of anxiety? Because these things are chasing you? So, because I felt like with, sometimes I don't like that with games. Yeah. This is just a personal thing. Yeah. Because I was playing Resident Evil 2, and they have that Mr. X that comes after you. And I like the parts of that game where you can kind of just go around and shoot stuff. But when Mr. X comes after you, I hate that because it gives me that sense of anxiety. I think this is why I don't like to speedrun. Yeah. Because I like to watch other people speedrun, but I don't like that sense. I don't like timers in video games, and I don't like that sense of like something's coming, I got to do it quick. I don't want to do it quick.
So every zone has the zones that the Emmys live in. Mm-hmm. And they're not allowed to leave those zones.
So if you can get out of the zone, then you're all right.
So you go to like a normal Metroid area. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, I got to go through the zone. And I'm like looking.
So you know when it's going to be. That's good. Okay. Right?
And then you get to the other side.
And you're safe
And then
again.
maybe you do some crap over there. And then you might have to go across the top of the zone. And oh, now I got to do it this way.
Okay. I like that.
And then you end up in these like brain rooms. And they look like Mother Brain. And I think, like, I haven't beaten the game yet, but I think the fact that they look like Mother Brain is going to be like a storyline thing. Okay. So you fight a brain room thing, and then you power up your blaster. You get the Omega Blaster. And then you go back into these Emmy hunting zones, and then you can kill them.
Okay.
And then that zone becomes a normal part of the level.
I see.
So they did a good job at balancing, like...
And gradually you're like sort of like powering down those levels to be able to make them safe.
Yeah.
Like that. Okay.
And then enemies show up in the level, and it's like a normal area
Right.
after that.
I see.
The other thing that's cool is, like, melee attacks are very important. So the enemies flash yellow. And when they flash yellow, if you hit them, you stun them. And there's a lot of enemies that are, like, heavily armored, but then they, like, there are these things that go on the floors and ceilings that, like, it's like Rumble from Transformers. You know where he, like, rumbles?
Yeah, I know Rumble.
When he flashes, when they flash, you hit them, and then you just blow them away.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then you have to jump over the like, shockwave and get it. There's, like, these big crab guys that raise their claws like this. And when they raise their claws, they'll flash and you can hit them.
Did you get to, is there any Ridley or Kraid or any of that?
Kraid is the second boss.
Okay.
I haven't fought Ridley yet.
How's Kraid?
Kraid has the spikes in his chest instantly kill you.
Okay.
So
You can't get hit by him.
Like, this game goes back to, like, learn the pattern. You know, you play Super Metroid, you play Metroid Fusion, even Metroid Zero Mission. You can get enough health tanks and stuff.
You'll be all right.
You just, like, you don't have to know. Like, you get hit by it every single time.
And you're still fine, yeah.
The Emmys kill you in one hit.
Yeah.
You have an active time where they're about to hit you where you can, like, kind of push them off you.
Because you're right. I remember in the original NES Metroid, like, if you have, like, enough enemy energy tanks and you go up to, like, Ridley, you just drop the bombs and it just dies. Like, just to keep dropping them. I think I remember you do it that way.
But in this, like, the Kraid fight, you get hit with those spikes, you're just dead.
Yeah.
There's so many situations where it's like you got to sit and okay, now he's gonna drop the like balls on you. Oh, I got to shoot all the balls. Oh, these balls I need to charge shot. So I'm sitting there with the charge shot trying to do it.
Yeah.
Oh, now there's the spikes. I got to roll in the ball to go under them. Oh, now the little thing comes down and I got to go up.
So you're busy.
You're busy. Oh, now he's flinging the things at me. I got to shoot those.
Yeah.
And it's like there's not a single boss in this game that I beat the first time I fought it.
That's good, in my opinion.
Right.
Some people probably don't like that, though.
Oh, everybody's like, it's hard, but it's not. It's hard, but it's also like you die, you start at the screen next to where you died.
You don't go back to the beginning.
It's not like you go back. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's not so bad. It's like, can I have a minute of your attention?
Right.
Please.
Right.
Like when the little pustules come at you, you shoot them.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to duck. Like it's a video game.
This is hard.
It's hard,
Yeah.
but it's good that it's hard.
Yeah, it is
and it's
good.
interesting, and it's 3D, and it earns the cutscenes. Remember, you always talk about earning the cutscenes.
I do talk about that.
Yeah, it earns the cutscenes because you're like, oh wow, this is fucked up. What's going on?
Right. Because there are certain games where
Why
I'm
am I
like,
here?
You know,
You know?
when I'm ready for it, it's good.
Right, because the storyline isn't just happening around me.
Yeah.
It's like I am trapped in this facility. I give a shit about being trapped in the facility. It's not like the storyline is like, oh, the galactic jackass is going to do this and we got to stop him. No, it's like, well, you know, I'm in a hole. How do I get out? Like, I want to listen because when somebody talks to me, they tell me something
that you want to know.
That I want to know
Right.
about how I get out of here.
Yeah.
They change, you know, like most Metroidvania games, it's like one big map. In this, like every level has a map.
Okay.
And then there's like the shafts, like Metroid has the shafts that go between the different
like
levels.
Norfair to Brinstar
Yes.
or whatever, yeah.
But in addition to that, there's also teleporter pads.
Okay.
So you can teleport from blue to blue or red to red. It's almost like
So you can get
board
around a
game.
little faster.
You get around faster, but you unlock like they do a lot to make it so like your paths are controlled.
Yeah.
Like your path like maybe like rocks will fall.
Yeah.
So you don't backtrack the wrong way.
Right.
It's like, oh, there's rocks here. And there were so many times where I'm like, where do I go? Where do I go? And I went back to like where I shouldn't backtrack to.
Yeah.
And there was something in the way.
See, so
Yeah.
what happens with me is when when a game like this comes out, like Metroid Dread or like
Yeah.
the TMNT game that's gonna come out,
Right.
I just will continue, and TMNT I'll play. I'll just get it over. But like people just constantly, it's like play Metroid Dread, play Metroid Dread, play
Yeah.
Metroid Dread, and it makes me not want to play Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
And I want to play Metroid Dread, like I do, but I like to play games at my own pace. But with these big games, that's what happens. And so like Age of Empires 4 is gonna come out.
Sure.
And I really like Age of Empires 2. I'm not that great at it, but I enjoy playing it. And I was thinking to myself, I tried the third one. I didn't really like it that much, but I want to try the fourth one when it comes out. Now, that's like a PC game, and people probably don't think of Mike Matei and,
Right.
and Age of Empires
Yeah.
stuff. So I feel like when that game drops, people aren't going to really say anything to me about it. But when it's like Nintendo, when it's like, Zelda,
Yeah.
the new Zelda game that comes out. When Breath of the Wild 2 comes out, I'm gonna hear it. When Metroid comes out, I'm gonna hear it. So it's big like Nintendo franchise stuff, and I just find that like, or I guess they also did it with like Streets of Rage 4. So I guess it's like anything that's like a really old popular franchise,
Right.
that come to me. Are you gonna play it? And my thing is that like, I'm interested in all these games, but why the fuck do I have to play it the day and the week it comes out? Can't I play it when I feel like it?
Here's why I think you should. Right? And this isn't like, oh, the algorithm. I'm not saying that at all. To be clear, although it probably would help, the reason why you should play it is right now when you play it.
Wait, are you trying to tell me that Yars Revenge is not helping the algorithm?
It's really not. No, I will tell you that now, because you waited,
Yeah.
every motherfucker in your chat is going to be an expert.
It's going to be a chat. It's going to be an expert, yeah.
They're going to be an expert, and they're going to be like, why didn't you go left?
Yeah.
Why didn't you go right? And it's like, you're going to have to deal with backseat driving, whereas if you played it the first time around, you wouldn't have to deal with everybody in your face about it.
It's like, so I try to play like Resident Evil stuff, or I try to play Metroid stuff, and when I try to do those types of games where there's huge fan bases of people that are experts, it makes you not want to stream those games if you're new to it. Because you're like, why didn't you go left? You're so stupid,
It's like, come on, man. You didn't know.
Like,
you didn't know the first time you played
right,
this. How could you?
Yeah. So I just, I'm like, whatever.
Or you sit there with a FAQ and then it feels like work because you're not actually experiencing
But I
it.
I see your reasoning is that, so if I did it the day it came out, I wouldn't have to deal with that.
Exactly.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now you do, because a large percentage of your audience played through Metroid Dread. They already beat it, right? Like I'm playing through it at my own pace. I'm probably played it for like 10 hours or something like that. I have seen Twitter like time screens where it's like an hour and 45 minutes.
That people beat it that quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure.
But to do it in an hour and 45 minutes, you need to be like on it.
Yeah.
Like I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine like the level of skill and memorization and all that it takes.
It's impressive. Yeah.
To get to that. But yeah, I really like the game. I
just don't have like a thing for that. I'm like, okay, let's say you beat, like, okay. Like if you beat it in quicker, I don't know. I just never had a thing about beating stuff quick.
Right.
I don't know. It just doesn't.
But
do anything for me.
it's also interesting that like, what are we like recording this? We're like 2 weeks out from the game coming out. Like we're already getting to the point where it's becoming a speedrun game, and like the narrative is shifted. Like you should know. Like we're at a point in time where everybody who's in the know should know everything about this game and be on to how fast can you beat it and all of that. And I can't handle that pace.
Right.
Like I want to play this game for a couple weeks.
Right.
And it'll be new to me for that. And I like that.
And I'm just like, well, I also want to play like Shadow Dancer. Like,
are you playing Shinobi right now?
No, I'm just saying like there's like other games I want to play, like Shatterhand.
Oh yeah.
Like there's stuff I want to play.
That's cool. I want to play both those games too. No joke.
But I'm just saying. But like I'm like I have a whole list of games, just like random games that I could tell you that I'd like to play.
Yeah.
And it's like I'd like to play Metroid Dread, but I just don't have this feeling like I gotta play it.
Yeah.
Immediately. Maybe I'll play it in a few months, or maybe I'll play it in 2 years. Like I don't.
Right.
I don't know. There's plenty of games out that when we talk about this all the time, it seems to be a running theme on this show now. But like we said, so many games come out, every day, and it's like, okay, well, Metroid Dread's out, but you know what? Centipede Recharge just came out, and Cruise and Blast is out, and like, there's so many games.
Right.
It's like, whatever.
And we're getting into the holidays where everything comes out.
Yeah.
But Metroid Dread exceeded all expectations.
It seems like a good game.
It is.
Yeah.
And Nintendo, the fact that Nintendo did something hard.
I'm just amazed that, I think I want to say, like, it's like, it almost like it doesn't matter now because now Metroid Dread's out. But it seemed like, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I saw there was like a room of dudes at some convention or something, and like Metroid 4 thing came on the screen, and they like went crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that this?
Yes.
That's Metroid Dread?
It is.
Okay.
And like the colors, when the Metroid 4 popped up, like the colors are the same as the Dread colors.
That's the same. Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, think about that. We've had all these. So you have Metroid, Metroid 2, Return of Samus, Super Metroid, Metroid Fusion, and now Metroid Dread.
Fusion, yeah.
Right. That's like the Metroid franchise. Prime's over here, and then you have the 2 remakes. You have Zero Mission and Samus Returns, which are the remakes of 1 and 2.
Right.
So I guess the next thing we're gonna get is a remake of Super Metroid. Like, they can't do it.
Oh yeah.
Like, are they gonna do that?
Why bother? Like, and people, everybody's played it. Like, you don't need to. What, have new graphics? Who cares? The graphics are great. They're perfect in the original. Like, just make it.
It's wonderful.
Move on.
Put it out again for new people to play or whatever. I'm sure it's on the Switch thing.
Yeah, it's already there.
It's on the classic, and all that. But yeah, Metroid Dread is probably the best game we've played on this show to date.
Yeah,
in my opinion, by far. Yeah.
That's probably a good place to.
Yeah.